Good day everyone, I'm AJ Fidalves. I'm here to present you the English language in America. So, the history of colonization of America is one of the most famous well-known formation of country across the globe. Spain, France, and Great Britain all played crucial roles in the development of what is now the influential United States of America. But today, most people particularly remember the colonial efforts of the English above all else. So next slide. So, American English has been evolving ever since North America itself was founded. Through its various twists and turns, an unexpected evolution of English has become the language we know now and love. Here's an in-depth and look language in every iteration from year 1600s up to the present day. So, how did the English colonize America? To understand how it first, to understand how, we must understand why. So, well, a few factors were significant in determining the reason of England colonial efforts. A summary of justification can be found in the 1584 work of Richard Hakluyt. So, next slide. So, first, Queen Elizabeth, back then, sponsored sea dogs engaged in privateering instead of traditional colonization. So, Queen Elizabeth chosen to top up for the less of difficult route of the joining and colonial world by sponsoring sailors known as sea dogs that participated in a form of piracy identified as a privateering. Two such sailors named John Hawkins and Francis Drake were sent by the Queen and wreaked havoc on the Spanish in America. The privateers and the latter in a particular plundered Spanish ships and raided caravans even as far as coast of Peru. This unprompted attack greatly angered Spain, and the discord between the nations drastically increased even further after England had the Catholic Mary Queen of Scots executed in 1587. Next. So the sailors targeted Spanish ships, caravans, for what I said later on. And this I've already said also. So next slide. So the following year, King Philip of Spain launched a large-scale invasion aimed at destroying the British Navy. So the response of Spain from the, what do you wanna call it? From the nation of British was a large-scale invasion or attack from the England. So the Spanish fleet consisted of 18,000 soldiers, 18,000, 8,000 sailors, and 130 ships. Spain targeted the British Navy, crucial for England trade and colonial power. So the effect of the attack is the trade and colonial power because the only transportation back then was just only by the sea. So no one can travel through air or in air. So next. So although outnumbered, the British had a better equipped ships and successfully repelled the attack. So even the British was outnumbered by force or by the army, British have more sufficient and efficient way of battling in the sea. The Spanish fleet retreated to the Netherlands for reinforcement. Storm damaged the remaining Armada ships, solidifying the English victory. So that's all for the repelled or the, what do you call it, the answer or the answer of the British from Spain is better equipment and sufficient way of using in the sea or battling in the sea. So next slide please. So late 16th century, for now, late 16th century, England made unsuccessful attempt to colonize North America. Sir Humphrey Gilbert failed in Newfoundland. John White in 1587 colonized the Roanoke Island and ran out of supplies and delayed after a year Spanish Armada. White returned to find the colony abandoned. So after that, another attempt for British or England to colonize America, another failure for them. Why? Because the following factor that can first is the transportation. It takes time, money, and people to going up there. So it has a lot of burden to going one place to another back then because There's no.
Ano mo ba, quiz?
So now, in the early 17th century, Queen Elizabeth passed away. So that's it for the next. Gonna take over the throne was King James. So it takes over England colonial effort. So he has the responsibility for the colonial efforts of England. So in 1606, Virginia Company was established, and three ships was Discovery, Susan, Constant, and Godspeed set sail in 1607. Three ships arrived at James River, so the first settlement in America. It's called Jamestown, established as the first English colony there. So where is that? It was on the Virginia now. So Jamestown was the first settlement. So I I do have a fun fact here for in this settlement. Does everyone knows the Pocahontas movie, Disney movie? So that movie was originally what do you call? Originally inspired by this event in the real world. So we can say that yeah, English colonization was really famous and have big contribution in English. So next, okay. Popham colony established in Plymouth Company was short-lived, so it didn't long for them to be back to their hometown. So in 1617, only 351 of the original Jamestown colonies survived. So what is the problem in there? Colonies face challenges with hard labor and difficult inland. So in Jamestown, or in the place where they arrived, the land there is not really good for agriculture. Because of that, they can they cannot have they cannot have a new supply or resources to live further in Jamestown. So Powhatans conferred the provided assistance of the colonists. So Powhatan guys is the Native American or Indians as they called in the movie, Indians or savages, because they have it. Let's say they are just less modern or not yet modernized. So they don't have any um, influences by Americans. So yeah, they're more like savages. Powhatan Confederacy provided assistance in the colonies. Despite of help of Jamestown continued to struggle with starvation and disease. So because of the harsh environment, this is one of major cause why did the Jamestowns did not totally colonize the area or the New World invasion. Okay, here with the so Powhatan's brothers succeeded in this claim both the English on March method of the New World or the what do you call it, the colonizers. So here, so next slide please. So no significant improvements occurred in the relation up until 1614. Pocahontas, daughter of Powhatan, married English colonist John Smith. So this is what I'm gonna say. The Pocahontas movie, Disney movie in animation. So this marriage helped the ease tension between English settlers and Native Americans. So this act or event was greatly helped the between the white people and the Indian people or the Native Americans, because when they arrive there, they have very what do you call very hard time in communication, because of course English is not yet introduced to them yet. So communication is really important for us humans to to express ourselves and have a good communication or relation between others. So the discovery and cultivation of tobacco became a crucial economic factor for the colony. So the discovery of tobacco or the cigar used for cigarettes is help the industry of the England. So it's like the what do you call it, the Jamestown there in the colonies in America or New World was became a province and factory of tobacco for the English in Europe. So it helped great economically and politically the England for that reason. So next slide. So Jamestown recovery survived early struggle through a profitable effort export, likely tobacco. So that's what I've said earlier. So economic boom, export grew up to 15 million pounds annually within 20 years. Expansion success led to territorial growth and increased conflict with the natives. So of course, if the expansion is like booming and the land was colonized, so obviously the conflict between natives will increase also. Why? Because they don't have land to live in and they were colonized, and mostly the cause of what do you call it, the natives was totally oppressed or getting violate for that reason. So next. So Powhatan's brother became chieftain of Powhatan death. So he sought to expel the English settlers. So when the leader was changed, so the new leader want to expel these white men because of what they are doing for their homeland. So for like us, we're colonized by Spain for almost 333 years, and we want to be independently and free from their triumph here in Philippines. So most likely this was the major problem or cause of the um, expelling the white men in the America. So on March 22, 1620, surprise attack to the led to the death of 347 colonists. So the massacre justified the brutal reprisal by the English settlers. So yeah, that's it. The true nature of the English settlers was showed by massacring 347 colonies. So that's sad for their side because they are just they own the land, they own the America, or the it's their homeland, yet they are being killed by it because they fight for the freedom what they sought for their tribes. Next. The English colonization in America was shaped by prior violence in Ireland. They focused in displacing the natives rather than assimilation. Using violence and disease, English colonists developed a strong sense of superiority, both religious and cultural. So, like that. Same here, or what we experience here in Philippines. Oppression, superiority, racism. If you are not there, what do you know, race, you're being most likely to be violent. Violent. The English had the resources to expand their colonies and more effectively than rivals. So, yeah, booming of their economically growth. Next. So, the English 13 colonies included the Virginia, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Connecticut, South Carolina, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Georgia. Those colonies later formed of the United States of America. So it had, if is if it had not been for the newfound tobacco industry in the original colony, was likely that the English would never been able to colonize North America permanently, and pure demoralization may have prevented any further success or even attempts at trying again, but instead the English were able to establish multiple booming colonies while also bringing an impressive profit for the crown and boasting enormous economic success. So that's it for American settlement. So if first, which is gonna have the summary of it. So first, Queen Elizabeth tried to do not call it try to stop the Spain. So Spain replied, and the answer to them was have a war with them because there are competition in economically and for the area back then. So it was easy to colonize an area back then. Second, when the King James, I suddenly in the time of Queen Elizabeth, no further or no visible improvement for that in her time in colonization of America. But in the time of King James, there was a clear vision of colonizing of the New World or America. Why? Because of the help of the Native American or Indians, and the marriage of Pocahontas and John something. So next is the found of tobacco, which greatly helped the industry of England. So if there was more money to come in England, they have more like financial support to support the privateers to come and people to hard work. So that's it for American settlement. I hope you guys have learned for today, and we're gonna have some title for some time. So that's it. Good night.